Just over a year after making its television debut, the sport of knife throwing is exploding. And with some of the best throwers in the country adding knives to their bag of tricks, the competition has never been better. The sport's so big now, we had to give it its own show. The World Knife Throwing U.S. Open, next.
Is electric. They're packed in like sardines, and we're jacked up as well to crown a U.S. Open champion of knife throwing. Hi, everybody. With Rob Leverance, I'm Will Haskin. It doesn't get any better than this. I don't care what the sport is, and this is a sport, Rob, that is absolutely exploding. So I have one simple question for you. Why?
Short answer, it's fun. Coming out of the pandemic, everybody is hungry to throw knives. Right now, we have a good mix of throwers for lottery winners and earned bids, and I cannot wait to see the entertainment today.
You mentioned those competitors. There's 8 of them that have made it to this standpoint. You look at the bracket, you've got the reigning U.S. Open champion coming up in our second quarterfinal. What do you love about these matchups?
Once again, lottery winners versus earned bids. We're going to see a skill set that creates a tempo and strategy going into these matches. Can't wait.
It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, Rob. I cannot wait to bring it to everybody out there who's just learning about this sport, including the third member of our broadcast team. We say hello to Nikki Knight. Hey, Nikki.
I'm so excited to be here. You can hear this crowd right now. I'm telling you, it is electric. Like you said, 64 athletes. We whittled it down to those final 8. And I myself, I actually got a lesson today from the world champion himself, Mike Philibom. That's coming up.
Cannot wait to bring it to you. Those are the 8 that are fighting to be called a U.S. Open champion. And we will throw knives coming up right after this.
The 2022 World Knife Throwing U.S. Open Championship is brought to you by the World Knife Throwing League. Pick up your own set of WKTL-approved throwing knives at worldknifethrowingleague.com. Welcome to the World Knife Throwing League. Created by the same team that brought the World Axe Throwing League and Urban Axe Throwing to the masses, the World Knife Throwing League looks to take the sport of knife throwing from the backyards across the world to the living rooms of millions at home. The World Axe Throwing League was able to leverage their 350-plus affiliate locations, allowing them to build out the infrastructure for a new urban knife throwing sports league. And after years of planning many iterations of rules, knives, and targets, the WKTL has arrived in 2021 and made its debut at the U.S. Open. The World Knife Throwing League borrows many of the rules from the World Axe Throwing League, with a few notable exceptions. And if you're familiar with the sport of axe throwing, you will know that throwers collect their axes after every throw and return to the fault line. But in the WKTL, throwers alternate between 3 throws and 2 throws at each distance before retrieving the knives. This adds an extra layer of difficulty to the sport to avoid knocking existing knives out of the target. Knives are only scored immediately before retrieval, so if a knife falls to the ground as the result of another throw, it will be scored as a 0. The order of throws look like this: 3 single rotation throws from the 10-foot line, then the knives are retrieved. 2 single rotation throws from the 10-foot line, and after 5 throws of single rotation at the 10-foot line, competitors switch sides. You then have 3 double rotation throws from beyond the minimum of 15 feet with that line, then the knives are retrieved, and then 2 more double rotation throws from beyond the minimum 15-foot line. You can learn more at worldknifethrowingleague.com. If you're familiar with axe throwing scoring, now very similar with just that one center bullseye and the same points awarded with those kill shots, but the big difference here with multiple objects in play at one point in time, how you strategically aim and then try and place those on the boards leads to significantly more volatility in the scoring. But there you see, twice per match, you're able to go up top for the kill shots. First of 4 quarterfinals is on deck here in Minneapolis. Let's meet those going head-to-head.
My name is Lucas Johnson. I am 33 years old from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I've been throwing knives for about 7 to 8 months, and this will be my first appearance on TV throwing knives. I am looking forward to throwing my Blackhawks that were custom profiled and Cerakoted by Kyle Durant from Cascadia Axe Co. I'd also like to give a big shout out to my sponsors, Axe Heads and Elm City Axe Boards. And shout out to my home venue that I own in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, called Murfreesboro Axe.
Hello, my name is Ben Fowler. I'm from Pittsburgh, Kansas. I'm 41 years old. I'm here representing Main Street Axe Company in Pittsburgh, Kansas, Joplin, Missouri, and Emporia, Kansas. I'm the Director of Operations for the company. My wife, Michelle, is the owner of Main Street Axe Company. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Coconut Empire Forge, for profiling my knives for this weekend. I got into knife throwing by recovering from a reconstructive foot surgery. Knife throwing helped me relearn how to walk, find my balance, and relearn my muscle memory.
It's a heck of a matchup, Rob. When you take a look at these, you can see the emotion in the face of Ben Fowler, how he handles it. He's got his wife and his 2 daughters here with him, and then that man, Lucas Johnson, has been the best at throwing anything. It doesn't matter, knives, axes, whatever it might be. He's also been tops in the country this year in bullseye percentage. This should be a fun one to watch.
Absolutely. Lucas is one of the hottest throwers right now in anything sharp. Ben coming in, some would say, is the underdog. However, I watched him throw yesterday, and he was clustering his throws perfectly.
5s across the board for Fowler. Did that last throw from Johnson catch bullseye? I believe it did. Does he have 2 on that red circle?
6, 5, 4.
4, 4, 4.
I should say 4s for Fowler, missing that center circle. And again, this was a sport a year ago, Rob. If you just stuck the knives, all 10 of them, you had a chance at winning matches. It's not the case anymore. You've got to be really strategic about where you're going to put these on the board to maximize scoring.
That kind of shows how difficult the sport can be. If you're a new thrower, you have to be patient when you first start. It is difficult to get that knife that is comfortable for you and your distance. Once you get that right, find a mentor, help get that right. And once you start landing these knives, you can start working on the strategy of walking them out and clustering.
Halfway through, Fowler getting it closer to that middle, and I believe
4, 4.
5, 4.
I was wondering if it was 2 5s, but he does get a point closer, so it'll be a 2-point edge for Johnson halfway home here in this opening game.
Main thing you want to do here is not have a drop. Make sure you stick that axe on the board, whether it's a 4 or even a 3 if you have to walk way outside. You just cannot have a drop at this level of competition.
Now we step back again, an extra rotation of the knives.
If you're wondering the difference that they're throwing at right now, we got that red and blue line that they're closest to. That's 15 feet. So Lucas right now is stepping back around 18 and a quarter. Meanwhile, Fowler's right at about 17 for that 2 rotation.
And now the math game. You know what Ben Fowler's going to have to do to try and win game 1.
4, 4, 3.
6, 4, 3.
So it'll be a 4-point edge. They didn't tell me there'd be a math quiz on this show, Rob. But
I forgot my abacus.
It's quick adding, and it's what the competitors have to do as well to figure it out. They take a look back at the scoreboard.
9 and 10. Score reads 36-32. Johnson's in the lead. 4-point game. Lane's clear.
Once again right now, Lucas right now with the lead is thinking about not having a drop to let Ben back in this match. He's going to walk it over to the right. Go for an bowl right now. Kill shot attempt by Ben.
Which he had to do, unless he was going to get a drop. Does not appear that Fowler was able to connect with that kill shot, which means game 1.
4, 1.
4, 4.
In the rules of this match, you do not have to call kill shots. You do not have your opponent know that you're going kill shot ahead of time. Once again, it's part of the strategy of knife throwing.
So game 1 belongs to Lucas Johnson, and they will take their practice toss as we transition to game number 2. Again, didn't have a single drop. And again, the difference in the growth of this sport and just trying to figure out how to maintain. And then you see a drop on a practice throw, which is not what we want to see in transition. Right, but here we go.
In practice is where you want it to be. Tap of the knives is going to commence this match.
Throws 1s, 2, and 3. Lane's clear.
Ben's got to tighten it up here. The goal is to throw straight. So as you see Ben, he will walk it over, literally move his feet over to bring it back in to the left for a bullseye. Nails that bullseye, and Lucas with a drop. Ben stays alive.
Tried to squeeze it in, and that is a massive start for Ben Fowler, trying to get back even. A huge exhale from him as well. You can hear his wife, who's clutching both daughters,
6, 5.
saying yeah after each one of those hit. So a massive early advantage for Ben Fowler in this first quarterfinal, and he takes a closer look to see how close he was to perhaps a perfect 18 start.
Ben knew he had that last, his second axe
Score
right
reads
in there
10-17.
on the edge of the
Fowler up by
bullseye,
7. This is throws 4 and 5.
which almost
Lane's
creates
clear.
a backstop for his next axe. He can ricochet it off that axe as long as it's the tip of that axe sticks in the wood. It counts as good. Ben's starting to be in a zone. Luke is taking his time with the lead to see what Ben's going to throw to make adjustments in his scoring strategy. It's tough to keep up with the scores.
5, 4.
So in addition to our judges that provide the scores, and then obviously we'll set the stage before every throw, there is a scoring monitor that these players can see as they walk back to the line, so they know where things stand.
19-26. Fowler up by 7. This is throws 6, 7, and 8. Lane's clear.
Stepping back for 2 rotation, Ben has really tightened things up here. He has to be a little bit more precise. An opportunity to capitalize right there. A huge opening for Ben.
Well, I mean, just put her on the board for 3 more throws, and it's guaranteed, and then he gets the drop.
Ben gambled a little bit there and tried to squeeze it in and split his 2 knives on the board. It cost him that drop.
Unfortunately, he doesn't ricochet another knife out of the board.
If he would have hit one of his knives and that knife dropped, that would have also counted for a 0. It only matters when all 3 knives have stuck in that board in this round. But Ben made a little ground up.
And just 2 throws left. Lucas is likely, and given how fearless he is, probably going to go up for both of them and hope.
Fowler's in the lead. Last 2 throws.
But he needs at
Lane's
least 1 drop from Fowler here to have any chance of closing it out, or we are on our way to a 3rd and decisive game in this first quarterfinal.
Lucas looks like he clipped that kill shot. Ben follows up with a 4. Clustered right next to that 4. That was not his intention to throw it right there. Lucas waits, goes for the kill. It's the only thing he had to do at that point.
Yeah, anywhere but near the knife. I mean, how surprised are you that Fowler's second throw comes within 6 inches of
That
the first
second
knife
throw
on the
was a
board?
mistake by Ben. That is not where he was aiming for. He was going for the bow on that throw. He just pulled it a little bit to the left and was lucky that that knife clipped it and still stuck.
So each player taking the game in this first quarterfinal, and one for all the marbles in a spot in the semifinals. And Fowler certainly benefiting from a couple of drops, multiple drops by Lucas Johnson in that second game. Can't count on those again here in this third one, as they'll take a couple of practice throws. And just like he did the last transition, Johnson begins with a practice throw drop, which kind of was an omen of things to come in that second game that really turned this thing back in Ben Fowler's perhaps favor in terms of momentum.
Right now, if you're Lucas Johnson, in your head right now, you're thinking something's a little bit off. I'm trying to make adjustments. He has to get out of his head and just throw as he normally does instead of trying to make the adjustments on the fly. Ben nails that bullseye on that first knife. A risky throw here from Ben. He's going to play it safe, step it out a little bit to the right.
Wow. Great start from both.
Nails the bullseye on that last throw, keeping it tight on the Ben.
Six, 5.
6, 4, 4.
So a near perfect start to this third game from Lucas Johnson, who has, as we mentioned, may have been the most consistent performer in all throwing disciplines all year. Credits not just a physical change, bringing everything up to his side of his head.
Johnson up by 3. This is the throws 4 and 5. Lane's clear.
A mental change to his own timing, and now gets to play with the lead in this decisive third game.
That throw stuck, and a little bit of a flick from Ben, which resulted in that low throw. He knew he messed up as soon as he released it from his hand. Brings it back with a nice 5.
But Johnson continues to apply the pressure as they'll step back beyond 15 feet for the final 5 throws.
6, 5.
Both these guys are throwing Blackhawk knives. Little bit of modification by Ben as well as Lucas. The Blackhawks give you a good coverage when you land that knife in the wood.
Swap sides. Score reads 28-22. Johnson is in the lead. 6-point game. This is throws 6, 7, and 8.
Stepping it
Lane's
back
clear.
to 2 rotation is significantly more difficult than that first rotation. If you're a new thrower, focus on 1 rotation until you get it down before you decide to step it back. Ben brings it in tight for a close call on a bullseye. Looks like a 5 from here. Lucas up high for a 4 on his last throw.
But if you're Johnson right now, you're just trying to board all of your knives with a 6-point lead. You're going to force Fowler to likely go up here if you don't get a drop from your opponent.
No drops is the key.
4, 4.
6, 4, 4.
So Johnson adds 1 more point to the advantage. You see Team Fowler, the eldest daughter, not looking as confident with a 7-point hole. Final throw. You likely need a Johnson drop here,
Score reads 42,
coupled with
35. Johnson's in the lead. These are the last 2 throws.
Lucas, very
Lane's clear.
quick-witted individual. He's very smart. He knows all he has to do is land these within the 5, and he'll be good. Meanwhile, Ben is waiting to see what Lucas throws. Looks like a possibly a 5.
Just crept into the 5. In any part of the blade inside of that black middle circle. And that's close to a kill shot.
Lucas, in turn, was waiting for Ben to throw. See the result. Slightly miss, I think, on Ben's end.
But Johnson with both of them on. And again, a 7-point hole, not going to make much of a difference. Comes really close, but that one's going to be just wide of the mark. And Lucas Johnson's able to put a really rough second game behind him to close it out in the third. Just the final score, the only thing to leave it official, but after 3 drops in that game, doesn't fail.
You could see Lucas take a nice deep breath on that last little judgment there. Ben Fowler, great run. Lucas ends up on top.
Boy, a really good dramatic opening quarterfinal. Lucas Johnson moving on to the semifinals in this knife-throwing U.S. Open Championship, and it was not easy. Great fight from Ben Fowler, but maybe the top thrower in any discipline, in any sport here in 2022 is on to the semifinals, and he will face the winner of Travis Blank and Ben Edgington coming up in our second quarterfinal. Coming up in that one is, Rob, you take a look at the recap of this one and what Johnson was able to sort of overcome in that one. And boy, to have as many drops as he had in game number 2, steady himself and come back and never trail in the third and deciding game. Really impressive stuff in that first quarterfinal.
It's a good demonstration of his ability to mentally recapture what he's supposed to do. Each one of these throws is individual and strategic, where he could walk it over and do his thing. And he was able to capture that in that second game going into third.
Yeah, impressive stuff from Lucas Johnson. Our match replay presented by Toro Knives. Johnson on to the semifinals. Who will he face? We'll find out with our next quarterfinal, including the reigning U.S. Open champion, Travis Blank, ready to stand up and do his thing. that, Rob, let's take a look at our Toro Knives match replay of this one. How about the intestinal fortitude, if you will, of Lucas Johnson battling back from all those drops to be about as clean as you would expect in the third game?
It's just more proof on why he's one of the best throwers of the year thus far. He was able to battle back from an extremely rough second round there to come back and overtake Ben in that third.
Into the semifinals, who will he face? Perhaps the reigning U.S. Open champion, Travis Blank. He's right there. He's ready to go right after this. The 2022 World Knife Throwing U.S. Open Championship is brought to you by Toro Knives. Pick up your own set of professional-grade WKTL-approved throwing knives at WorldKnifeThrowingLeague.com. We've got one thrower into the semifinals. Who's going to meet him? It could perhaps be our reigning U.S. Open champion. Let's meet what could be the most entertaining quarterfinal of the four.
Hey everyone, my name's Travis Blank. I'm 38 years old and I'm from a small town called Pierce, Nebraska. I've been throwing these lovely barbarians, not that long, but I've been throwing knives for about 2 years. This is my favorite throwing knife out of all the WKTL knives, and it's awesomely etched by my daughter, which skull with some snakes, so fits the barbarian name. In addition, I recently retired from the Army on July 1st, and this being on ESPN today is exciting for me and icing on the cake on top of my retirement. So, looking forward to throwing.
My name is Benjamin Edgington. I am 33 years old from Denver, Colorado, and I throw out of Primal Axe House. I have been throwing axes and knives for 6 years, and most notably won the 2018 World Championship of Axe Throwing. Today I'm looking to add a knife throwing championship to my trophy case. I want to shout out to my wife, who was not able to be here today, but I would not be able to be here today without her.
And you saw the showmanship there of a guy who he can juggle, catch, and throw in one fell swoop. This is about as entertaining of a match as we're going to see, Rob, because you've got the guy who was kind of ahead of the game, Travis Blank, when he won that U.S. Open a little over a year ago, was really one of the first guys doing it. And then Edgington, who was the first World Axe Throwing champion here on ESPN, won it in 2018, the second time the sport was contested, but the first time, and probably one of the rare guys still left in the sport that's truly a field thrower. He just has a lot of fun out there. This could be an absolute blast.
Travis told me he practices roughly 30 minutes a day. On the flip side, Ben told me he never practices. Ben is possibly one of the most coordinated individuals I've ever met. Meanwhile, Travis is the smartest knife thrower I've ever come across.
Two really good stacks there between those starts. No sign of nerves on either side, and really good scoring out of the gate for both.
Barbarians coming in from Travis. Toro Muertos being thrown by Ben Edgington. They have completely different feels. Ben's knives are a little bit shorter than Travis's. That's all relative to where you stand and the speed that you throw with your knives. Travis being extremely experienced, taking a deep breath. I think he might be feeling a little bit of nerves right now in the
game 14-14. This is throws 4
in the
and
elevation
5.
of this match.
Lane's clear.
Dip down a little bit low from that bullseye, as well as Ben. Follows up with possibly a high ball. Good clustering again from both throwers.
You heard from Travis to change those barbarian blades,
5.
which he did not throw when he won the U.S. Open last year in what was a lopsided contest. But he knows that so many of these throwers are catching up to what he was already doing. He's inspired by that growth, and it's just so much harder.
24-24.
Case in point in this tie game.
6, 7, and 8. Lane's clear.
Stepping it back to that two spin, we're going to see a huge difference in distance from these two throwers. Travis thrown from around 16.5. Ben is almost off our scoring mat right now at about 20 feet. Travis right side of that bull. Misses just a little bit outside. Looks like a 4.
Had to have heard the drop from Edgington on the other side. And after tying through the first 2 rotations of this throw, Ben's going to have to recover from a dropped knife.
Tempo is one of the biggest advantages in this match. You can wait to see what the other thrower does. If you're in the lead, you can throw one, wait to see what he throws, and follow up and make adjustments based on a drop, a miss, as Ben flips the axe in the air and catches it. Can you do that, Will?
I can't. I don't think I can do it with a tennis ball, let alone a knife.
You got to give me a fillet glove in order to do that.
All right, gentlemen. Score reads 32-39. Blank in the lead. These are the last 2 throws. Lane's clear.
Ben's going to be going upstairs here. He's thinking about what he's going to be doing right now. He's going to wait to see what Travis does first, which is well within the rules. And Travis buries a bullseye. Ben reacts accordingly and knows he has to hit a kill. Travis is not even hesitating and is going to throw again.
And nailed it both.
Wow. The skill set is incredible.
You can do the math. There is no 7-point comeback, and Edgington convinced, and just look, that's respect right there to the reigning U.S. Open champion. Not a lot he could do.
A hard-earned win right there by Travis, knowing he has to be that perfect to beat Ben.
Blank has not lost a game in this pathway to the quarterfinals and continues that streak, and is still
Blank takes that game.
Certainly motivated by his world championship loss last winter to Mike Philibon. He doesn't lose very often, Rob.
Speaking to him earlier, he's a little bit edgy on that still. He has a little beef to pick, and he has something to prove after losing to Philibon.
These are practice throws, getting ready for game number 2.
A drop in practice throws, while we all know it's just practice, it still plays with your head a little bit.
1, 2, and 3. Lane's clear.
It kind of doesn't get you in the right headspace. But Ben, being very well experienced himself, also in the limelight of ESPN, can make some adjustments.
Really like the pace that both of these guys throw with.
Travis mentioned that he just kind of, we talked about tempo. Against a thrower, his opponent, he will control the tempo, but mostly he just kind of grips it and rips it and does his own thing, which we could see right there.
5, 4, 4.
And like they were, game number 1, tied up after the first 3 throws. It really was one drop by Edgington, and they went back to the 15-foot line that opened up that first game.
Tied game, 13-13. These are the last. These are throws 4s and 5.
Both these throwers are right around each other in bullseye percentage for this tournament thus far. 21.3 from Travis and 20.8 from Ben. More importantly, the 5 percentage, 32.5 and 28.1 respectively for Travis and Ben. Travis walking it in good. Looks like he clipped that bullseye on that second throw.
6, 4.
6, 5.
And Blank will take a 1-point edge to the back line for throws 6, 7, and 8.
All right, score reads 24-23. Blank in the lead, 1 point. These are throws 6, 7, and 8.
It blows my mind from how far Ben throws. It's a huge disadvantage to be further back, but for those knives, it works for him. Opportunity for Ben to hit the bull. That bull is still wide open. Travis tried to split it right there in between his 2 knives. Ben plays it a little bit safe. He was going for the bull. He just kind of missed a little bit high into the right.
5, 4, 4.
4, 4, 4.
So a 2-point edge for Blank going to the final 2 throws. Edgington, by the way, prior to those attempts at the kill shot in the first game, had not missed. He was 3 for 3 in kill shots in this tournament.
Score reads 35-37.
What does he do here?
We're going to see Ben wait for Travis throw his first axe.
Lane's clear.
So he knows what he has to do. This is that tragedy and tempo that we've talked about before. As he flips the axe casually and steps back, Travis is going to throw first.
And Travis, Ben has to look over and see a bullseye there, which means he's down 4. He's going to need help and won't get it as long as that one hits board. It's into the semifinals for Travis Blank. Didn't make a mistake and looked the part of the best potentially in the sport.
No drops from Travis was his goal going into the ESPN broadcast on day 2 right now. He accomplished that, and he also had good clustering to overcome our 2018 axe throwing champion in Ben Edgington. Good run by Ben.
Yeah, a lot to like in that one. And he's excited now. Didn't show the energy or the emotion during it, but now he's there, and it sets up an absolute heavyweight battle coming up in the semifinal after Lucas Johnson survived the first quarterfinal. Blank gets to Johnson in that semifinal. Can we just do that one now? No, we got 2 other quarterfinals, Rob, we got to get to, because that just feels like that is going to be a semifinal absolutely worth the price of admission. As we take a look at our Toro Knives recap of quarterfinal number 2. And what more can you say about the reigning U.S. Open champion? Travis Blank was about as good as you can get given the circumstances.
He is definitely focused going into these matches. He has a mission, and you can tell by his throws.
Incredible stuff. That was the drop in game number 1 that broke open what was a tie score, and then Blank would go on to take care of business, never really showing any weakness. So 2 semifinalists are set, 2 more to be determined. They're waiting in the wings, quarterfinal number 3, right after this. Still fired up halfway home, determining all 4 semifinalists in this U.S. Open of the World Knife Throwing League. And just a reminder, in case you're new to the sport or new to today's broadcast, the scoring breakdown with those 10 throws. You get more points the closer you get to that center red bullseye, 6 for that red circle, and twice per game you have a chance to go up and go for the kill shot for those 8 points coming from those tiny blue circles. Third quarterfinal is now on tap, including a couple of really fun young competitors. Let's get to know them a little bit better.
My name is Dylan Teets. My friends call me Teets. I'm 23 years old from Tampa, Florida. I've been throwing axes for about a year and a half now, knives about 4 months off and on. I'm representing Axe On Axe Off from Orlando. Really excited to be here. I'm thankful for Jumping Jackalopes for sponsoring me, and I'm part of their team. And my first ESPN appearance.
Hey, what's up? My name is Austin Bach. I'm 33 years old from St. Joseph, Michigan. Throwing out of Lumberjacks Urban Axe Throwing. That's my venue there. Been throwing knives for about a year and a half. And this is my 4-month-old Hezzy. He's ready for Dad to bring home the title. At least throw his best, and just make him proud, because he's a cute little guy. Super excited to be here and ready to throw. Peace.
And 2 fun competitors that, like so many in this sport, Rob, have gotten into it. There's Hezzy trying to avoid the noise off to the side. What a fun matchup this is going to be. And, you know, I was fortunate enough, Rob, to be on the first call of the first ESPN broadcast of the World Axe Throwing Championships in 2018, and Austin Bott credits that broadcast for getting him into the sport. He'd been throwing things sort of recreationally before, but this is what the exposure of the sport has done. It's inspired guys to get to this moment. So you have Bach, who's gotten himself on TV just 4 years after seeing it for the first time, and then the youngest competitor in this competition in Teets, just 23, vying for a spot in the semifinals.
Austin Bach, one of the top premier knife throwers in the world right now. Dylan Teets, a young gun, new. He went to his first axe throwing tournament. It was a pre-U.S. Open axe throwing tournament preparation tournament last year. He'd been throwing for 2 weeks. That's how he got into axe throwing. And from there, he's been throwing knives as a transition. He's naturally good at everything he does.
5, 4, drop.
Big early edge for Austin Bach with the drop from Teets. Both of these players you would expect to have a little bit of nerves. Again, first time under these lights, transitioning from sort of that intimate, family, tight facility yesterday.
9-15, Bach is in the lead. These are throws 4 and 5.
To this center spot. And now Teets having to play from behind is going to probably need some help from Bach with the drop.
Bach, an experienced thrower where he has thrown many different knives. Dylan, on the other hand, the knives that he's throwing right now, those Phoenixes, Phoenix are the only knives he's ever thrown ever. It's the first pair that he's ever bought, and he's sticking with them because he throws them well.
You heard that cling from the knives of Bach. He is not afraid to try and fit it into tight spaces.
Bach doing a little shimmy, trying to stay loose over there.
Gains another point halfway home. He steals what I like to call a NASCAR term. They say Rubbin's racing in NASCAR. It's not a real race until the cars are trading a little bit of paint. He's not afraid to try and hit knives.
At the turn. These are throws 6, 7, and 8. Lane's clear.
Stepping it back for the 2 rotation. Bach pulls it back to about 16. Dylan right at about 15 and a half. We can tell the difference in speed right now. Dylan has a nice little lob, whereas Bach brings it a little bit more hot. Those Blackhawks being thrown by Bach have that more coverage, which he might use to advantage. Brings it in tight. Bach excited about that throw.
Teats boarding all 3, which is baby steps forward. But it's going to need some help here with 2 throws to go.
5, 5.
5, 4, 4.
The nerves look like they're getting a little bit to Dylan Teets right now. He needs to loosen up, maybe do the Bach shimmy himself with an extra tap of knives. Breathe deep right now, flips the axe, let's go.
Score now reads 30 to 40, Bach in the lead. These are throws 9 and 10. Lane's clear.
He knows he's going to step back and wait for Bach to throw his axe. His knife, excuse me. And he's most likely going to go up towards that kill shot based on what Bach's going to throw right here, which is a 4.
Again, he needs a drop. Down 9, even if he nails both kill shots.
Dipped a little bit low, flicked his wrist. Flicking the wrist in knives is a detrimental thing, which is kills that next kill shot. Momentum possibly going to the next match.
Bach boards it. That's all he needed to take a 1-game-to-0 lead.
4, 4.
Hit. 2.
A 10-point 2-throw turn for Teets, as you mentioned, something to build on as they'll take their practice throws transitioning to game number 2.
That was 40 to 48. Bach took that one. Here we go for game number 2. You get 1 practice throw.
At this point, Dylan just needs to refocus, to gather his thoughts, and throw his normal game. Staying loose, Bach once again doing the shimmy. Tap of the knife. Here we go for knife number 1.
Throws number 1, 2, and 3. Lane's clear.
I imagine Teets is going to aim for that left side of that bullseye and walk it to the right. Bring it in tight, keep that precision nice and tight with that cluster. A little bit errant throw to the right. Might have clipped the ball on both those shots. Split the middle, for a bullseye. Followed up with a bullseye from Bach. Stepping out far to the right for a drop.
Again, he mentioned he doesn't care about being close, but that time it costs him, and a great start from Dylan Teets to take early command of game number 2.
This is that momentum that Dylan needs right now.
Drop.
6, 6, 5.
And a good start from Dylan.
Yeah. And a 7-point lead.
At this point, Dylan does not need to play it completely safe.
Oh,
Second opinion being announced.
He wants the perfect 18.
So, Will, a perfect game in knife throwing is most likely impossible. I'm not sure. I would pay good money to see that happen.
5.
Confirmed.
Rule to 5. A good challenge from his point at this point in the match. He needs to have an opportunity to capitalize on Bach after taking that first round.
So now can Teets stay clean the rest of this game to try and draw even in the match?
Bullseye followed up by Teets on that first throw. Bach, left side, possibly a bullseye. He's stepping way out to the right to come back in. Throws high. A little bit of a mistake from Bach. Meanwhile, Dylan hits that bullseye.
5, 4.
6, 5.
Again, Rob, there's enough scoring variance in this discipline, but now you're Austin Bach, you're 9 down. You know you need help. What does that do to how you're throwing? You can't allow that to impact how you're throwing, but in the back of your mind, I've got to get a little help here from Teets if I'm going to win this game.
These are throws 6, 7, and 8.
Keep it tight is what you're thinking. Just keep it tight. Don't drop. Don't drop is the most important thing at this competition level.
On cue.
Low. Dylan a little off on his throws. Bach a huge opportunity, which he takes his time, steps to the side, and he'll be going for the bowl here. Little bit high. Not the throw he wanted to get. Dylan another errant throw, but lands a 4. At least it sticks. Bach going to play it safe and land an axe in the 4.
Wow, and how things turn rapidly here in this second game. Up 9, 2 drops from Teets.
Drop.
Once again, Dylan stepping to the side. He knows what's at stake right now. He takes a deep breath. He knows he made some mistakes right there.
So down
those
9,
drops.
gets a 10-point swing to lead by 1 going to the final 2 throws. And now the strategy completely different.
Dylan looking over to the crowd over here. He has someone that he is, his anchor, to bring him to zone him back into what he needs to do and stay focused on those boards. Stepping back, Bach, about 16, right at 16 for both these throwers. Lob throw from Dylan, high for a 3.
Again, a drop effectively ends it for either player. And now anything inside the 4 is going to get it done. For Austin Bach, actually just needed to make sure he didn't miss. He did not miss.
Bach clips a bullseye for the win. A conceded hug from Dylan right there. Austin takes that win.
Boy, the door was slamming shut on Austin Bach there in game number 2, but then it was opened wide when they went back to that 15-foot line. Dylan drops 2 straight in the transition, and Bach would not be denied, and he becomes our 3rd semifinalist in that come-from-behind victory in quarterfinal number 3, and all Bach can do is shrug his shoulders. He's on to the semifinals to face the winner of Wellman versus Williamson coming up, our final quarterfinal. So 3 of the 4 determined as we take another look at our Toro Knives match recap. And when we say it, in knives especially, Rob, you have to, at this level, make sure that all 10 stick into the board, and this ended up becoming one of those situations where the drop just ended up costing Dylan Teets.
Dylan got a little bit hyped up, had a couple drops, and Bach capitalized on those errors by Dylan. Good run by Dylan, and we expect big things from that young gun, and we'll see him in the future.
Can't give the baby a nap yet because he's into the semifinals. He can't believe it. Crazy things all Teets could do is take a look at it, but he's made it in. One more semifinals to determine coming up after this. Final quarterfinal of this U.S. Open of World Knife Throwing is on deck. Brett Williamson and Dustin Wellman set to do battle. Let's learn more about both.
My name is Dustin Wellman, and I'm 47 years old. I'm from Vancouver, Washington originally. Now I'm out of Battle Creek, Michigan. I've been throwing hatchets and axes for 4 or 5 years now. The knives that I just got into, about 2 months. I'm representing actually multiple venues. I throw out of Saginaw, Michigan, which is the Bearded Axe, Jackson, Michigan, which is Axe Play, and I actually own a venue myself, Wellman Axe Throwing. I also am a custom handle builder, so I make some of the best handles for the best throwers in the world.
Hello, my name is Brett Williamson. I am 38 years old, throwing at a 608 axe throwing in Baraboo, Wisconsin. We've got a great knife league there with a lot of very good throwers, a lot of which have made the league very fun, very competitive, pushed everybody in the building to get better. Last year was the first time that I threw knives at the U.S. Open tournament. I came 1 spot away from being on ESPN and hoping that this is my year to finally get my face on McDonald's for it by the time this is over.
A couple of guys that have reached this goal of theirs. Williamson has not lost a game in this path to the quarterfinals against Wellman, who has probably the most custom knives we'll see out of anybody here. Shaves it down to pretty much the minimum on that blade here, Rob, and they're underway here in this best of 3.
Both these throwers throwing Blackhawks. Excuse me, Williamson's throwing Crusaders.
You can see the spark off of that one as it made contact, and in the early drop will give Wellman the advantage. 3 throws in.
5, 4, 4.
5, 4, drop.
And a 4-point cushion for Wellman. Again, they have stats that are tracked through all the leagues throughout the course of the season. The app that competitors across the WKTL
13-9 Wellman. These are throws 4 and 5.
used to
Lane's
score.
clear.
And Wellman's second best of those that arrived here in Minneapolis in terms of bullseye percentage, 22%, and with the lead, starts with a bullseye on throw number 4.
Steps out to the right, but slightly missed to the 4 for Wellman. But once again, that's the importance of not dropping right now.
No scoring change after those 2 throws. 4-point edge for Wellman halfway home here in game number 1 as we step back to the 15-foot line and an extra rotation of that knife, and where we've seen the volatility really play in these 3 throws.
Wellman in the lead. These are throws 6, 7, and 8.
Wellman throwing from about 8 steps up to 17 feet. Williamson right at about 16. Lands a little bit to the right. He's going to walk it over to the left, going for the ball right now, and nails a ball. 2 rotations, a ball is huge. Walks it in the middle and hits another ball. Meanwhile, Williamson nails a 5 up top. Final call from the refs.
4, 4.
Excuse me, I stand corrected. I thought those were 5s. They were 4s.
And Wellman adds 4 more points to the advantage with just 2 throws remaining.
Once again, land
Score now reads
the knives.
39-31. Wellman in the lead.
Despite them being 4s, Williamson had good run on landing them in 4s. Staying in the match and alive. The tempo just gripping and ripping, getting right into it. No strategy right. Errant throw on that kill shot that he called.
And it's over with that one hitting the board from Wellman.
Wellman taking his time, looking around, knowing that he won that individual game.
2, drop.
So the first game that Brett Williamson has lost in this U.S. Open. And pretty impressive from Dustin Wellman, who we should mention also eliminated the reigning world champion Mike Philibom in the last match to get to this.
Game 2. You guys
threw
get
a
1 practice throw.
50-pointer in the final game of that decider to get to this quarterfinal. So riding some significant momentum as they
as he hits
throw.
In practice a kill shot. Going into axe number 1. Important things for Dustin right now are to just land your axes in the wood. We've said it multiple times, and he does. Walking it to the left. He started on the right. He's going to bring it into the left, slightly low. Once again, he's going for the bull. Kind of a gamble from Wellman. He tried to land that to the left of his first knife and ends up throwing to the right, and he hit it. Lucky to not be a drop. Meanwhile,
5, 4, 4.
a good score from Brett.
And a 1-point early lead for Wellman, already up a game here in this final quarterfinal.
Score reads 13-14. Wellman up by 1. This is throws 4 and 5. Lane is clear.
Neither one of these guys are taking the time to think of what your opponent's going to be doing right now. They're just getting up there and throwing. And no drops. And Wellman clips the bullseye from the bottom. Psychologically, a bullseye at this point in this round with 2 knives.
5, 4.
Yeah, just to the left.
Not a bullseye.
So no damage done from either side on that one. You know, Brett Williamson talked very much through this process of that. Look, he's not competing against the guy next to him. And almost every top-level throwers.
Wellman up by 1. These are throws 6, 7, and 8.
Trying to stay within the process, battling just yourself and the board and the throw in front of you.
2 spin landed in the board. 4, 5. At this point, Brett should take his time. Lands arguably a 5.
Takes the lead for the moment with 3 4s from Wellman. This one has to find wood.
And he tried to play it safe. He went outside to the left. He was trying to land a 4 and ends up dropping.
Man, he had drawn ahead.
4, 4, 4.
If he would have got a little bit aggressive and threw his normal shots, there's a good possibility that he would have landed that. But he tried to play it safe and went outside to the left and resulted in a drop. And he knows. He knows he messed up
32.
right there.
Wellman up by 3. These are throws 9 and 10. Lane's clear.
Match not out of reach.
Now Williamson has to go up, but looking at that 5 and 4, this would not be enough even if he hits, but it's just off to the right. The math was not in his favor there as soon as Wellman hit 2 inside the 4 circle. And there you see the fist pump from the 47-year-old from Battle Creek, Michigan. He's into the semifinals. 2 straight games, and we have our final 4 to be a U.S. Open champion. Pretty good battle back and forth. And just one little momentary hiccup in that second game from Brett Williamson. Thought about the conservative play, didn't think about sticking the knife. And now you've got 4 remaining into the semifinals with Austin Bach now and Dustin Wellman, the second of those 2 semifinals. Our Toro Knife match recap of that battle between Wellman and Williamson. And Rob, again, that fateful drop ends up becoming the big differentiator in this one with Wellman advancing.
I can't express this enough. Drops are the end of your life in these tournaments. You have to stick them in the wood in order to survive.
So Wellman on to the semifinals against Austin Bach with a heavy-hitting matchup of Lucas Johnson and Travis Blank also on deck here in the semifinals. 8 began the day, 4 remain here at the U.S. Open of knife throwing.
Welcome back to the U.S. Open here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is the first dedicated broadcast of the World Knife Throwing League. And right now I'm here with Evan Walters, the World Knife Throwing League commissioner. Talk a little bit about the energy here in the room and the growth in the sport.
Honestly, the excitement is really, really nice to see. We just had our very first tournament only a year ago, and here we are on ESPN with people from all over the country coming to watch.
So how much have we grown over these years?
We started out with just a handful of people. I think we had 32 in our last tournament, and now we're double that, and we have hundreds of competitors across North America already and some overseas. So.
And we were just chatting about it. I mean, we've seen the competitors just getting better, hitting more bullseyes, hitting more of those kill shots. And today, I actually had the opportunity. I got to get a personal lesson from world champion Mike Philibom. He showed me how he holds his knife and then actually how he throws it as well. So one thing I thought was really interesting is he said his grip and the way he comes in his backswing are very similar to his hatchet. He said the more consistent you can get, you know, if you already know how to throw axes, okay, come in, and here's me learning that grip, and that's my throw. I stuck that one. I stuck that one. I didn't hit a kill shot. It was close. I was trying to go for that kill shot, but I didn't quite get it. He said he didn't get one on that little warm-up throw there either.
Well, that's totally okay. No one's hit a perfect game yet, so I'm hoping we might see that here tonight. So, but we'll see.
That's the energy we need. We are coming back. We have Johnson and Blank next in the semifinals. Sending it back to you, Rob and Will.
Rob, exciting time in this semifinal. I think a matchup that could almost have a finals type feel to it. Lucas Johnson survived a few drops in game 2 of his semifinal. And again, continues to just be as consistent of a thrower no matter the sharp instrument, and gets to go up against the reigning U.S. Open champion who wants the crown of being the best in the sport back, and Travis Blank, who in his warm-up here just moments ago was throwing underhand. You want to talk about a guy that's loose. He's ready to get it up. He's ready to get it going. This semifinal could be epic.
A little bit of underhand by Travis Blank, trying to send a message to Lucas Johnson going into this throw number 1.
Ooh, it starts way low. Wow, does Blank on the first throw.
Followed up with a 4.
Trying to climb the ladder, and may have done so for that third throw.
Lucas Johnson stepping way out to the left to come in to split it. And it looks like, by the crowd, a 5.
Should be 3 5s from Johnson.
6.
Oh, no, he hit the ball, that top one.
5.
6, 5, 3.
That first low throw by Blank puts him in a tiny hole 3 throws into the semifinal.
Travis understands what just happened there. He knew he made a little bit of a mistake on that first throw. I imagine his cluster is going to be extremely tight right now. 2 throws in the bullseye. 10 feet.
Again, the quality of throw, you look at how the tip of the knife is purely flush. I mean, no knives just hanging, dangling off the board, just wonderful technique and execution.
Both these competitors understand the strategy of knife throwing. So once again, we'll see the tempo of knife throwing right now, as well as the strategy of waiting till your competitor throws to see what you need to do.
These are throws 6, 7, and 8. Lane's clear.
Travis should be waiting here. Instead, he gets the line, is ready to throw right away, throws first for a bullseye. Lucas with a high, possibly 4. Travis going to come in on the right side of that bullseye right here, coming in tight for a high 4. Lucas is going to play it safe with a 4 as well.
You shaking your chair every time those knives.
I get a little nervous every time they throw because I know what they need to do, and a drop is pretty much solidifying
6,
you're going to lose this round.
5, 4.
5, 4, 4.
So that bullseye beginning from Travis, making up the gap. And now here we go. Final 2 throws all tied up.
Stepping it back.
We have a tied game, 40-40.
2 spin. Travis taking his time, wants to wait on Lucas and where he's going to throw. Lucas not hesitating, throwing.
Maybe caught
possibly a 5.
Sliver of the 5. That one definitely a 4 for Blank. Travis wants the information, looks over, and knows that he can deliver and may have. If that caught the bull, which it looked like it did, that might be the 1 point necessary for a game win.
6, 4.
4.
And it did not even matter with that first one not getting inside the circle. I think Johnson was resigned to it as soon as they were over, didn't need the final score, and the reigning U.S. Open champion is 1 game away from getting into the championship match. 50-48, how good are those 2 scores?
Lucas needs to keep it tight right here. Practice throw coming up. From 2 spin, Lucas brings it in at a 4. He knows what he needs to do right here. There's adjustments that need to be made, and he is going to take some risks here where there's a possible drop that's going to happen, because that's what he needs to do in order to win.
Johnson lost game number 2 in his quarterfinal showdown with Ben Fowler, and now has lost game 1 of the semifinal showdown. And Blank starts low in this one, and it should be an early lead for Johnson if he can board this one.
Travis trying to control the tempo in that individual throw. He threw pretty quick to make Lucas throw fast. You have 10 seconds to throw from that last axe hitting the board, which forced Lucas to throw fairly quick, which kind of missed his target.
2 bullseyes from Lucas Johnson opens up the early edge here in game number 2.
I don't know if that tempo pace that Travis had is a little bit of a desperation in a match that he is maybe realizing he has a little bit of a threat from Lucas. Another shake of the head from Travis. He knew he messed up on that throw. Throws low for a 4 and throws high for a 4. Lucas, meanwhile, comes up with a bullseye and a 5.
How much is that is overcompensating from Travis Blank, missing high on the second one?
4, 4.
Travis is one of those experienced throwers where he knows what to do. I think he's mostly in his head. He's one of those guys that just doesn't get his head, tap the axe, he knows. Tap of the knife, they switch sides, we're going to step back. Here is one of those accuracy moments in precise moments, more importantly, with those bullseye. With a 6-point lead, Lucas just needs to land him. Travis is going to bring it in tight for the bullseye. Nails a bullseye on that first throw. Lucas a little bit down to the right. Travis follows up with a, that is close. Lucas brings it in tight. Step to the right. This grouping is unbelievable right now. Lucas stands far to the right. He's going to land a 5. And comes in with a bullseye. Comes in with a bullseye on that third throw.
Give them all of them.
Travis points to Lucas with a confirmation of how good that throw was by Lucas.
6. Oh, wow. We thought it was all 3 of them. Boy, it looked like he nailed the bullseye on all 3. Misses slightly on one of them, but builds the lead with 2 throws to go.
6 points going into the last 2 throws. Travis knows at this point that 1.5 inch kill shot is what he has to hit. If he doesn't hit this, the match is over on this first throw. I imagine Lucas is going to wait, although he lines up to throw right away. Travis now knows he has a little bit of an opening if he hits the kill shot. He's going upstairs to the right. That bullseye, that kill shot is 1.5 inches. Just to the right. Missed from Travis, not over yet. Lucas coming up. Throws, oh,
and now it's over.
Bullseye. Travis, showmanship, 2.5, throws high.
And we will go to a deciding 3rd game. See the exhale through the nose of Lucas Johnson. How about that? Puts a 55 on the board in game number 2.
Putting a little pressure on our defending U.S. Open champion. I'm not much of a practice thrower, but I imagine these guys are going to take one practice. Travis, both taking it from 10 feet. They're going to get dialed in here on this one practice throw. Travis throws slightly high on that practice, and a drop from Lucas, which is no harm.
We saw this in the quarterfinal. Remember, he had a drop on the practice between game 1 and 2, and ended up having 3 drops in that second game before rallying to win.
I don't care who you are, what kind of thrower you are, but if you have a drop in a practice throw, that has to mess with your mind just a little bit. Lucas throwing those Blackhawks follows up with a bullseye. Travis with a bullseye in his second throw with a 4 on his first, and an errant 3 and a drop from Travis Blank on his third knife, and Lucas comes in with a 5.
Even with that 3 in there from Lucas Johnson, he's going to take the lead.
6, 5.
Travis knows how important that drop was right there. So following up with these next two throws, he has to bring them in tight. I imagine as a right-hand thrower, he's going to bring it in to the bullseye on the left side of that bull.
Score reads 14-9.
That's his goal.
Johnson
And
in
walk
the
it
lead.
over.
This is throws 4 and 5.
Maybe he
Lane's
can hit
clear.
these two bulls. Lucas staying pure. Travis hits a bull. Lucas hitting a 6 and a 5 as well.
Just to the right. That wood starting to splinter around the bullseye.
6, 5.
But just right. No damage done, but again, the drop and that first rotation of throws from Travis Blank, the difference in this third game.
Talking to Travis before coming in the day two, second opinion being called right now on Lucas. Arguably a bullseye is what I imagine that second opinion is. Our judge coming in, taking a closer look.
Looks like there's space there.
5.
Ruled to 5. So a second opinion is well within the rules of these matches. Travis with that drop coming into these matches, he said what it's going to come down to is not having any drops.
This is throws 6, 7, and 8. Lane's clear.
It's only a 5-point spread coming into these two spins. It's not completely out of reach. Lucas has to land these axes, and Travis has to have a good cluster, which he does right now with a low 5, almost a bull, and a 4 from Lucas. A bullseye from Lucas. And a bullseye from Travis. Lucas follows up with a bullseye on the right side.
And Travis Blank can only make a little walk right now and be like, what do I have to do? I'm just running into an absolute buzzsaw right now.
5, 4.
6.
No 6 from Travis. I stand corrected. From our point of view, it looked like it was a 6 from Travis. He takes a closer look and pulls his knife, and once you pull your knife, that is solidified for that throw. Lucas.
Score now reads 41-34. Johnson up by 7. This is throws 9 and 10.
Travis is going to
Lane is
step
clear.
back and let Lucas do his thing, because it's going to allow Travis to know what he needs to do on these next throws.
Again, a 7-point lead. If you had put 2 5s on the board, it would eliminate Travis Blank mathematically.
Still taking his time.
Yeah,
He's going to wait to see what Lucas does. He has 10 seconds from the last knife hitting to complete his throws. And a 5 and a 4 thrown from Lucas, which makes it a...
So a 7-point difference, that's 9 total. You can only maximize 16 up top. And that one may have missed just to the left.
Barely a miss from Travis.
And it won't matter. And
On that
one
last
dropping,
throw.
does it in. And it will not be a repeat U.S. Open champion. Lucas Johnson just clustered up that bullseye multiple times, and he is into the final, taking out arguably the best in the sport, but many might argue that that man right now is the best throwing whatever the implement is to it. Johnson survives, put up a couple of really big numbers. He's into the final with a heavyweight takedown of Travis Blank in the first of our 2 semifinals. And Rob, that we've had so many drops that sort of factored into what this would be. Take a look at our Toro Knives match recap, but let's be honest, Lucas Johnson just went out and won himself that semifinal. Incredible display from Lucas Johnson. He's into the championship trying to become a U.S. Open champion, and he's standing by with Nikki Knight.
I'm here with Lucas Johnson from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You know, I just heard them say you're arguably the best at throwing anything. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good today. You know, knives is a little bit new to me, but I've been really looking forward to this opportunity and putting in some practice, so hopefully showcasing it today.
You know, your first game you were playing, you did have some drops, put you a little behind. Like, how mentally did you get back into it after you had that?
Yeah, I just tried to think of it as it's just another game, just like practicing at home or just like throwing league. So my footing was a little off where I was standing, so I just readjusted, got back into the rhythm.
And then how was it an honor to play with Travis? You know,
Oh, yeah.
he's a great thrower.
Yeah, honestly, when I first started throwing, I messaged Travis. We talked for a little bit, asked him about grip. He really helped me out. He was very willing to do so. And so wouldn't be throwing knives probably if he wouldn't have helped me, because I was very bad when I first started. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. We're excited to see you in the finals, throwing it back to another set of our semifinals.
Cannot wait for that one. So in many ways, the student has become the master as Lucas Johnson into the championship showdown of this U.S. Open. One more semifinal to come. Who will face Johnson in the finals? We'll determine that right after this. The 2022 World Knife Throwing U.S. Open Championship is brought to you by AxeThrowingInsurance.com. Get your urban throwing venue insured today. Lucas Johnson's into the championship. Who will he face? We will find out right now. Austin Bach taking on Dustin Wellman in the second semifinal. There the bio on Bach, who made his way into this semifinal showdown with a nice come from behind against Dylan Tietz. Took advantage of a couple of drops in that quarterfinal. Got his 4-month-old in here, and there's Dustin Wellman, the elder statesman of the 8 that made it to the TV show today, and a couple of guys from the great state of Michigan about to do battle for a chance to play Johnson in the championship.
Bringing it in on throw number 1. Bullseye from both these competitors. Throw number 2, stepping to the right, drops down for a 4 for Wellman. Arguably a bullseye.
Hanging by a
Bach
thread.
stepping way out to the right, outside the lines, which is perfectly legal. Coming in for the bullseye.
Overcut it a bit to the left. Those 3 are definitely stuck in the board. Wellman's hoping they can get the score counted before that one knife falls out.
The count.
6, 5.
6, 5, 4.
And a 2-point edge for Bach to start. Nearly had that perfect 18 start.
No damage done on that first throw, although a 2-point spread going to that
17-15.
knife number 2.
This is throws 4 and 5.
Keeping it tight from Wellman is important, but no drops. Once again, no drops are important. Walking it to the left from Wellman. A split middle bullseye from Bach, which is kind of detrimental in the strategy. He has to choose whether or not he wants to go right or left, and he's choosing to go right now. He steps out and going to bring it in for the bullseye.
And he's fearless when it comes to coming close, but that one up and to the right's only going to get him a 4 on the back end of that bullseye. Should be tie scores here.
The dead man zone for knife throwing is center high, especially if your knife is lower, because you won't be able to get that coverage on your next throw because it's being blocked by your first throw, which is what just happened right there by Bach. But make the adjustment and made some points.
Wellman took an extra peek at that.
Bach is in the lead by 3 points.
One that was
6, 7, and 8.
near the bullseye.
These 2 spins happening. Bach stepping back to about 16.5, as well as Wellman right at 16.5, who nearly hits the bull. Bach
with a drop.
With a terrible drop. Now, resets, comes back.
Oh, it gets the gift given right back.
Nerves a little bit of a factor right now. Under the lights, another drop from Bach.
Again, 2 drops, but with a 3-point edge. Get this one somewhere in the 5 or maybe a bullseye.
Board for Bach. No excuses right here on this throw. And he throws a low 3.
You can see the knife shaking in his hand, too. He is feeling it right now with that lead making the transition, and now we'll have to
5, 4,
get a last throw miracle.
He knows that was an error on that last throw on his part. Let's see what kind of a mental adjustment he makes at this point as he grabs 2 of his knives off the ground.
Score now reads 30-33. Wellman in the lead by 3 points. This is throws 9 and 10. Lane's cleared.
And those 2 drops turned a 3-point edge into a 3-point hole for Bach.
Both these guys are going to be aiming straight for that center mass, the bullseye. Wellman slightly high and to the right.
It's a big 5 start, now a 4-point edge with that in the 4. That one sticks in the 4. So this has to be a kill shot hit to tie it up.
Oh, just missed to the
so
right.
close. That would have tied the score and would have gone to sudden death.
Those kill shots up high, 72 inches tall from that floor,
5,
inch
4,
and a half in diameter.
1.
Some would say some sports caps of drinks are about an inch and a half. If you want some sort of relation in what you're trying to hit right now from 15, 16, 17 feet, it is about the size of a bottle cap.
So Bach played from ahead, lost the lead, loses the game, and Wellman 1 game away from the championship as they'll get their 1 practice throw at the transition.
An interesting throw from both practice. Dustin decides to throw a 2-spin, Austin 1-spin. They both missed by the equivalent of a mile in what they're aiming for. Here we go, throw number 1. Both low on throw number 1. Dustin still a little bit throw on throw number 2. Austin bringing it in tight for a bullseye on throw number 2. Dustin making his adjustments and throws a bullseye. Bach way out to the right, comes back in strong and taps his knife for a 5.
6, 4, 4.
6, 5, 4.
Little bit of an adjustment. I thought it was a 5 at the time. Tapping his knife as he threw it in there. We're taking a closer look right now. Once those knives are pulled, it is solidified for that score. There's no more second judging at that point.
Score reads 15-14. Bach up by 1. This is throw 4 and 5. Lane's cleared.
1 point going into the next throw from about 10.5 feet. A little bit high from Dustin Wellman for a 5. A bullseye from Bach. Stepping out to the right once again. He's going for the bull on that right side. Dustin a little bit low with a 4. Austin lines up for a high 4. He knew what he had to do right there, but he released it a little bit high, came in a little bit fast for that high 4.
6, 4.
You can see both of these players trying to stay within the rhythm, within the groove. In fact, Austin Bach kind of has his own little mantra. He mutters to himself.
23-25. Bach up by 2. This is throw 6, 7, and 8.
He says,
Lane's cleared.
Panda, panda, panda to himself. It's a shout out to his wife, Kelsey, his 4-month-old Hezzy, and God, the 3 most important in his life to try and settle things down, trying to draw even in this match, and what a start.
22 spin, 16 feet from both these throws. 17 fair from Dustin Wellman. Oh, has a drop. Right now, Bach, he's one of those guys that will go for the win right here, and he throws in between both his knives for a 5. He does not play it safe. He goes for a win and brings it in tight to split both his knives.
6, 4, 3.
5, 4. Drop.
He embraces the risk, doesn't he, of trying to weave it in there. And after having drops in the first game that led to Wellman winning, now gets to play with a significant advantage. Just needs to board these two, you would imagine.
This is throw number 9 and number 10.
One of the only ways to win is to bring it in tight, to cluster your knives as close as you can, and Bach embraced that right there and brought it in tight to bring in the lead going into this throw. Wellman gonna wait. 4 thrown from Bach. Wellman has to hit a 6 here.
He has to go up.
Go and kill.
Yeah, down 6, and already with your opponent on the board for 4, it is now a mere formality. Doesn't even matter if Bach doesn't make contact with the board. He does, and we are on to a deciding 3rd game in this second semifinal as Bach rallies, and most importantly, Rob, no drops from Bach in that second game after the drops cost him in game number 1.
I can't stress enough, the drops in knife throwing at this level are of the utmost importance.
Game number 3, Joe, you get 1 practice throw.
Going to that practice throw, game number 3, to decide who advances and who goes home.
All right, guys, let's hear one more.
Practice throw from 2 spin from Wellman, 1 spin from Bach. This is what it comes down to right now. Tap of the knives. Here we go.
No time for tension. Just a spot in the championship, a chance to play for $2,000 to the winner.
Lane's clear.
Flicking of the wrist right now in knife throwing is a huge negative of your throw. Dustin's slight flick on his first throw, which dropped him down into that possible 4, maybe 5. Brings it in close on his third throw for another 5. Austin might be trying to split it right here. Comes in. He was trying to split it. He threw a little bit high. A risky throw from Austin, but a good mistake on his part for throwing high to the left and landing the axe and not a drop.
5, 4.
5, 4, 4.
And the narrowest of 1-point lead from Bach after 3 throws.
I've stressed this once, and I'm going to stress it again. At this point, these throwers are thinking, just don't drop. Land these knives in the board as close as you can to that bullseye.
Lane's clear.
Lanes are cleared. Grip it and rip it. High 5 from Wellman. High 4 from Bach. Both opponents stepping out to the right to bring it in to the bullseye right there with a high 4 from Wellman as well. Bach.
Low 5, it looks like.
Maybe clip the 6. Looks like a low 5. The judge's call.
5, 4.
4.
No way. Oh, 5-4, yes.
2-point lead for Austin Bach as they'll switch sides and head to that 15-foot line. Again, had that lead in game number 1. Had 2 drops on his 3 knives.
Up by 2. This is throw 6, 7, and 8.
At this same juncture, that opened the door for Wellman to win game number 1. And now Bach with a slight edge again.
Once
Just
again,
knows he has to put it on the board here, Rob.
You're going to see these throwers hit to the right, although Dustin goes left. Either way, they can walk it over with whatever direction they land. Dustin needs to walk it over. He steps over to the right a little bit more. He's going to go for that bullseye right here.
Ooh, and a high 3 followed by a 5 from Wellman.
Austin is going to be drilling that bullseye right here. He has an opening with his knives with the direction that they landed, and high to the right.
And may have given up his lead going into the final 2 throws.
5, 4, 4.
4, 4, 3.
And does, and we are tied up with 2 throws to go. And now things get really interesting. Who plays the game of chicken? Who waits and watches? Who goes up for a potential kill shot? Although at this juncture I wouldn't go for it, but this is it. 2 throws to get to the finals.
That's what they're discussing right now. They looked at each other. They tapped their knives to see where they're going to go. Austin taking a deep breath before lining up at 16.5 feet.
At the worst possible time.
4 thrown from Austin with a drop from Wellman. A huge difference in that individual throw. Bach's going to wait, and then Wellman's going to wait because he has the lead now. So he's going to throw, and Wellman's going to see what he has to do, whether or not go for a kill. Disappointing 4 from Bach right now. He did not want to throw that 4. He wanted to bring it in tight. He got a little bit loose on the possible nerves of the drop.
Has to make this kill and does it. And that's it.
Throws low. Bach's going to advance.
Boy, a drop at a time that neither one of them wanted to see it. You could see it on the face of Austin Bach as well. He did not want to see Dustin Wellman drop that knife. The kill shot actually would have tied it up at the end if Dustin was able to board it or hit that blue circle. But it's Austin Bach into the championship showdown against Lucas Johnson.
Excellent run by Wellman right there.
So we are down to our final two, and it will be Lucas Johnson, who has been maybe the best all season long across all competitions. Best bullseye percentage in the World Knife Throwing League this year. Johnson now will face Austin Bach coming up in the championship showdown after he survives by the skin of his teeth against Dustin Wellman in the final. He even ran over to grab the brand new baby boy as Lucas Johnson was watching it. He's taking an eye at it right now. He's in the championship. He's going to face Austin Bach for the title of a U.S. Open championship coming up right after this. The 2022 World Knife Throwing U.S. Open Championship is brought to you by Toro Knives, by knife throwers for professional knife throwers. Now WKTL approved. You can order a set of the Banditos on WorldKnifeThrowingLeague.com. Time for our championship showdown. A little fortune got Austin Bach into the championship. The 33-year-old looking to be a U.S. Open champion, and he is feeling the heat right now as he's up against Lucas Johnson, who's been the most accurate thrower this year in the World Knife Throwing League. Maybe kind of a David-Goliath matchup. You got two guys that are sort of new to throwing the knives, and here they go for a U.S. Open title, Rob.
Lucas walking in from the left, stepping out to the right for another bullseye.
It's close. There is no room to squeeze in there. He's looking at it to maybe try to.
He's not going to split it right here. He's going to play it safe. He's going to go for a 4. He brought it in tight. Wow. As long as the tip of that knife is in the wood, that's going to count. Meanwhile, Austin steps way to the right to go for that bullseye, which he lands a little bit high.
Yeah.
A little bit high.
But you can see the respect he has for, you said there's no way he's going to try and squeeze it. He tried to squeeze
Lucas
it in there.
brought it in tight. That was a very risky move, but that's why he knows what's at stake right here. He has to land those knives in a tight grouping.
6, 5, 4.
6, 5, 4.
And an identical start for both competitors. Neither one of them afraid at all of ricocheting a knife that could have a costly drop. Again, we saw drops an issue early for Lucas Johnson in his quarterfinal match.
Throw number 4 and throw number 5.
Overcame those. Bach had his own problem with drops in the semifinals against Dustin Wellman and was able to overcome and take advantage of a late drop in game 3 to get into this championship.
Normally we would say that's not a bad throw, but Lucas makes a bad throw for a 4 and follows up with a bullseye. Bach hits that bull and follows up with another bull.
He's excited about it. That knife still reverberating out of the board.
6, 6.
A little errant throw by Lucas Johnson, dipping down, broke his wrist just a little bit to bring that knife down.
Slight opening, but again, oh so slight when you have to step all the way back now.
Score reads 27-25. Bach up by 2.
Now we step it back
6, 7, and 8.
to 2 rotation.
Lane's cleared.
We see that Bach is stepping back to approximately 16.25 feet. Lucas, on the other hand, is right at around 17.25. Dips low for a 4 and a 4 from Bach. Five on the second throw and a possible 5 from Bach on that second throw. Bach steps out wide. He's going to go for the bull. He's going for the kill right here. By kill, I mean bullseye. That 1.5 inch red dot coming in tight. Just misses the bullseye out to the left, to the right.
Didn't get it inside that 5 either.
So a 2-point mistake a little bit from Bach.
5, 4, 4.
4, 4, 4.
Ouch.
The lead trimmed to just 1 with 2 throws to go in game number 1 of this championship.
Those 2 spin throws are quite difficult. If you are a new thrower, once again,
Score now reads 38-39.
don't focus on those 2 spin throws.
This is throw number 9
Focus on those
and throw
throws
number 10.
from 10 feet, which most throwers throw from about 11 or 12. Right now, Austin's lining up for that 2 throw once again from about 16, and Lucas from about 17 and a half, 18. Blackhawks and Blackhawks knives being thrown.
That may have snuck high enough to be a 5. That is close and might have just caught a whisker of that bullseye. We could be looking at a virtual tie between these two. You see enough black paint there. It might be a 5.
At this point, these guys don't have any timing in throwing. Lucas is waiting and standing. Oh, Austin Bach brings it in for a bullseye. Lucas Johnson following up while he was waiting to see what Bach was going to do, and follows up with a bullseye himself.
All right, 2 big measurements
Tap
here.
of the axes.
2 big measurements here. Is that low knife from Bach good for a 5? And was that first throw from Johnson a bull? It was.
Oh my goodness, Lucas.
And we are tied.
1 point gained by Lucas on that individual throw.
So, Rob, the first time, and it's only fitting in the first game that these guys are tied up. Now, where do we go?
We're going up top for who is closer as the crowd is chanting, who sucks less.
Going straight for the kill shots.
Closer to those kill shots. Those kill shots are 1.5 inches in diameter with a red ballpoint pen around them, outlining them to indicate whether or not you hit. You have to have that red ballpoint pen on either side of that knife as they hit. Lucas lines up first. He's ready to throw. Austin taking his time. Lucas steps back. This sometimes can be a detrimental aspect of your throw. Austin throws first for just missing to the bottom left of that kill shot to the high right. Lucas also missing to the left.
I think Box is a little
of
bit
that
closer.
right. Box, from our standpoint, Will, looks like it's closer. We'll see at this point whether or not the judge coming in close, taking a closer look. These knives are close to that 1.5 inch kill shot. The suspense right now in the audience is silencing.
It's a tiny measurement closest to the edge of it.
Winner.
And Austin Bach by a millimeter takes game 1.
Wow. Once the knives are pulled, that solidifies that call. Both these competitors confirm that that is what happens. They tap knives and they're ready for the next round.
I think to the naked eye, we saw that, but couldn't get any closer in the first game of this championship to have that 1 point turnaround on the final throw. Those 2 bullseye hits by Lucas Johnson, and now their 1 practice throw as they make the transition into game number 2. Again, Bach 1 game away from being a U.S. Open champion, the biggest win of his throwing career, trying to shake the nervous energy out to begin game number 2.
The Bach shimmy is what we're going to call it from here on out. Throw number 1 coming up. Austin with a huge windup compared to Lucas. Lucas dips down for a 5 on his first knife. Austin hits a bullseye on the left side. He's going to walk it out to the right and go for a bullseye on his second throw. Brings it in tight for a bullseye. He steps even further out right. Austin, he's going for the bullseye right here. He's not going to play it safe. He's lining up for that 1.5 inch red dot in the middle. Austin Bach throws high for a 4. Lucas waited to see what he was going to do and follows up, splitting it for a 5.
Not afraid to split at the beginning of both of these games.
It's what he has to do at this point to win this match.
6, 5, 5.
6, 6, 4.
That's the first throw, Bill. I'm a little stressed. Are you a little stressed? I'm a little stressed.
You're on your feet. You're bouncing around. All of that work for 2 16s tied up, going to throws 4 and 5.
16-16. This is throw number 4 and throw number 5.
These throws taking place from 10 feet or the adjustment that they make based on what they're throwing. Blackhawks, 9,000s by Austin Bach. Custom Blackhawks by Lucas for a low 4. A bullseye from Austin Bach stepping out to the right. He is going for a bull on his second knife. Bullseye looks like he hit from Johnson.
I was about to say this is the most comfortable we've seen Austin all day long, and then right there with an opportunity to open up maybe a bit of a lead, low 4.
6-4.
Little bit of an excitement from Bach. It's one of the few moments that we see from him where he got a little flustered and threw a little bit low. That was a great opportunity for him to slam that right side of that bullseye, and he throws low.
Still have a tied game at the turn, 26-26. This is throw number 6, 7, and 8.
Now we're stepping it back for that 2 spin. Lucas with that very stepped out throw with his feet, throwing from about 18 feet right now. Bach from about 16. Bullseye from Bach. 4 from Lucas. Bringing it in somewhat tight. Lucas very clustered on that 4. He needs to walk it over to that bullseye in order to have a shot right here on this throw.
Oh, that one just hangs on.
Lucas for the 5.
Overcorrected. And that's going to be a tight measurement.
Looks like a 4 from our standpoint. Austin with his last throw clips his knife. 4 of 4.
Again, the way these two are throwing, either competitor drops one knife and it's almost giving away the game.
Austin leaving it all out there, going for the split on that third throw.
And Austin Bach is going to take a 1-point lead with 1 game in hand onto his final 2 throws. Again, a man who witnessed the first televised World Axe Throwing Championship in December of 2018. Was throwing recreationally and said, wait a second, I can do this. I can arrive, I can get to a stage. And now in the first ever fully televised World Knife Throwing Championship all to itself, Bach is perhaps 2 throws away from being that champion.
Lucas is going to wait for Bach to throw. And he throws high. He opens the door for Lucas to make up some ground.
And does with a 4, so virtually tied.
1 point. The second throw, that axe, that knife is an errant throw by Bach. It is angled down and in the center of the board. That's dead man space for knife throwing. He has to step way out to the side, and he might play it safe here instead of going for that bullseye to make sure he lands it. And he throws a low 3. A bullseye open for Lucas.
5, and he's on it.
And he nails the bullseye.
Center cuts it.
He nails the bullseye on that second throw. Splits it in half. Lucas Johnson on his second throw splits that bullseye with the Blackhawk knife.
He actually only needed a 5 to advance. Gets it out of the way with the bullseye, and we go to the decisive 3rd game.
Will, 1 practice throw out here. I'm not even sure what you think at this point. I won't take a practice throw. I think this is just a throw that you just put in the bag, save it for later. Meanwhile, Lucas throws a 6, and Bach throws a 4. I'm surprised they didn't practice their 2 spin right there. But here we go.
You can see the look on Bach's face. He knows that he had the opportunity. Has to learn from what his body did differently than usual, doesn't he, Rob? I mean, he had it right there on a tee, and it just couldn't get it across, and now has to regroup into this 3rd game.
Lucas
look at Johnson.
buries another bullseye. And as well as Austin Bach on that first throw. Lucas steps to the right, throws a little bit high for a 4. Second throw, Austin Bach. Dips down for a 4. We're tied going to the knife number 3. Lucas steps way to the left and brings it in tight, clips his knife. I think we're tied going into the second throw.
6, 5, 4.
6, 6, 4.
Oh, a 1-point lead for Johnson, who caught that bullseye. And again, we've seen that all 3 games. Him splitting the middle, not being afraid to try and wedge that third knife into the middle, and is rewarded with 2 bullseyes.
15-16.
A lot of times in these kinds of matches, you don't want to bring it in tight because you're afraid of damaging your knife, which are roughly about $130 for a set of 3 or $30 a knife. So you don't want to bring it in. But this is the U.S. Open. You're going to leave it all out there to bring it in for the win. Lucas dips down. Bach throws up, 1-point lead on that throw.
A bullseye here would be huge in transition.
Steps to the right, Austin Bach throws high again. We're jockeying our leads right now. 3-3 thrown from Austin Bach.
And that's a big 3-point pickup from Lucas Johnson to lead by 4 going to the back line, because again, if no drops here, you're forcing Austin Bach to likely need to think kill shot at some point in time here in the next few throws.
7 and 8.
Austin needs to focus in on that bullseye and land bullseye. He just did the Austin Bach shimmy coming into this 2-spin throw right now. I'm surprised Lucas not standing back a little bit to wait to see what Austin's going to throw. He gets up there and throws a bullseye, and Austin follows with a bullseye. Lucas coming up with his second throw right now. Clustered, a close throw. Austin, another clustered close throw. No fear from both these competitors. Austin stepping out way right. Johnson stepping out way left. A little bit. Those bullseyes are 1.5 inches in diameter. So we're looking at 3/4 of an inch right now. Austin throws it in there.
Metal on metal.
Lucas stepping in, throws high.
Predictable, right? I mean, predictable with a 4-point lead. I mean, I know that
he's playing it safe.
No fear there, but this is ground made up for sure from Bach.
The risk reward from Austin Bach right now is huge. A little bit of a momentum change in Austin Bach's throw.
A 4-point lead down to 1.
A slow pull from everybody out of the wood just for a possible second opinion. And here we go. 1-point match.
Final 2 throws.
39, Johnson. This is throw number 9 and throw number 10.
Spin throw. Austin lines up at that 15-foot mark and moves back to the 16. That's kind of his shtick. Meanwhile, Lucas, roundabouts 18 feet. Lucas throws first.
Couple of good throws. Both may have caught the 5. Definitely a 5 for Johnson. Bach can't be sure.
Austin's going to wait here. He's going to see what Lucas is going to do right here, which is well within the rules of knife throwing. Lucas winds up and throws.
Bach's got to go up, doesn't he?
Arguably a 6.
Got to go
now,
up.
we don't know what that score is, and Austin has to look at that, and he has to decide whether or not he's going up, which he needs to. Austin, upper right kill shot. Takes a deep breath. Delivers!
Oh, he
upper
just missed.
High of that
Which
kill
means the
shot.
math is in favor of Lucas Johnson. And he's going to be the U.S. Open champion once it's confirmed. It was a bullseye on the second one.
Lucas Johnson, everybody, as your 2022 U.S. Open champion. As those knives are pulled from the wood, a congratulations hug from Austin Bach. Austin Bach, what a great run. Lucas, wow. He is the best of throwing sharp stuff right now.
Yeah, said it. There may not be a better person when it comes to the boards. Went through a murderer's row to get to this spot as well. and validates all of the work, even the change in technique, and now gets to call himself a title holder in world knife throwing. Your U.S. Open champion, Lucas Johnson. He's going to put on the hardware. We're going to hear from him as well as he survives one of the best finals we're ever going to have to be your winner.
Welcome back to the U.S. Open World Knife Throwing League. I'm here with the champion, Lucas Johnson from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Lucas, let's see that bling you got.
Thank you. I'm liking these knives on the band here, but
I know you hold a lot of trophies. Earlier we were talking about you're arguably the best at throwing anything. Does this seal the deal for you?
This is nice. The first knife thing that I've won. Haven't competed a lot in knives though since they're so new, but really excited to have this cool bracelet and looking forward to throwing more in the future.
Congratulations to a pretty new knife thrower, Lucas Johnson. He was looking really solid. Again, thank you for joining us. This is the first World Knife Throwing League broadcast here in Minneapolis.
Phenomenal stuff from Lucas Johnson. He gets it done, took out the reigning U.S. Open champion, and then withstood a phenomenal final against Austin Bach to be crowned a U.S. Open champion and continues his haul as one of the best in the sport of indoor throwing. For Rob Leverett and Nikki Knight, I'm Will Haskett. So long from Minneapolis, and congratulations to our new champion.